Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 69. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the orchestrating Mike Christensen.
I'm just going to conduct during this whole thing, but I'm still paying attention.
Right.
Just I got to make sure these guys are
Keeping
doing
it together.
God damn it, win section.
Do not get overly excited. We're going to bring it in at the right time. Now, how did you get all of these guys to come in and do this with us?
A lot of sexual favors.
Ooh, wow. I mean, by seeing how many people, even just the Woodwinds alone.
Just an inordinate number of sexual favors,
That's
yes.
so many sexual favors. Well, good luck to you, and good luck to you guys.
Would you expect anything else from
are we going to do that
episode
mid-show?
69?
That's true. That's true. We made that promise.
Well, we'll wait for the right moment.
Hold on for the right moment to introduce
to
all
cue
of
them in, yeah.
But I guess for in the meantime, to kind of heat things up, we should talk about the sexiest thing possible in comics.
Yes, as we all know, comics are just super hot, and I'm going to just pull the ripcord on this now and just
Sure.
talk about regular stuff for the rest of this episode.
Fair enough.
No more sexy times until the orchestra comes in.
Sorry, everyone. No more.
And then plenty of sexy times.
So for my comic, sex on sex.
Hey, poll list segment. We talk about the comics that we read every time they come out. Jay, what should we read when it comes out?
You guys should check out Shipwreck. Shipwreck is written by Warren Ellis. Whoa, I've talked about him before.
A couple times.
And Phil Hester. And it's by Aftershock Comics. I think I talked about them in the last episode, actually.
Mm-hmm, I believe so.
They've been releasing a lot of new ones and a lot of creator-owned, driven comics, so it's very cool. But Shipwreck is a really interesting comic. It is, now, I've talked about Warren Ellis before, and I love Warren Ellis. Primary reason I picked up this comic. And oh boy, is it about as Warren Ellis as possible. And what I mean by that is, it is very difficult to know what is going on in this comic. And it is 100% a slow burn series, you can tell. I think I talked about Injection, which is Warren Ellis as well, and I really enjoy that series. I'm still reading it. I could even tell from the jump. I was like, whoa, this is going to be a slow burn series. They do not give you much at all. They just drop you in halfway and go, don't worry, we'll explain what some of these things are eventually. This one, even less. It has very much of a feeling of you are maybe in a dream or in a purgatory type place that just doesn't really have any real foundations in reality. And what I mean by that is the book opens and we're following a character who's by himself. He has a bandage on his, I believe it's his left hand. It looks all messed up. And he walks into a diner in a town. Before this, we see a few pages of him just walking through what looks like the desolate outback or down an old dusty highway, but nobody's around. Some damaged, destroyed poles and things like that. And he's just walking into this diner. And there's just a man there, waiting there, sitting, and he's talking to this man. And I won't reveal too much of the conversation, but the whole thing plays out very dreamlike. There are even bugs skittering around the room and things like that, and how they're drawn. And Phil does an amazing job of where they're placed and how they interact with the framing, even of the different frames of the comic. It's just all very dreamlike. And there's even some later sequences that happen in this diner that are very much, even the main character himself references maybe I'm dreaming, maybe this isn't exactly what it seems to be. And they're just like in other Warren Ellis comics, especially Injection, there are comments about programs or people or things that are referenced that are given no exposition on. And they're just mentioned these characters know what they are, but we don't know what these things are yet. So very much, it's slowly dipping you into a very, very weird experience. Definitely check it out, especially if you that the puzzle worlds that Warren Ellis creates to really delve into. And this definitely has a feeling, and it reads a little bit if anybody read the Gunslinger book, the first in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
This very much has that same feel, where this main character is looking for a specific person, much like if you read the Gunslinger series, the main gunslinger is looking for the man in black. This character seems to be looking for someone who wronged him as well and is trying to chase after him and capture him. And it definitely feels that same way, just like Gunslinger kind of drops you into a desolate desert-like world where you're just kind of following weird things happening and you're not really explained why. This is kind of the same way as well. So if you like any of that, if you like puzzle stories, if you like just really crazy stuff, check out Shipwreck. It's, I believe the second issue is out at this point, and it's starting to expand on the world a little bit more. But ooh boy, is this going to be a crazy comic series, and I do recommend it. So Mike, what is your poll?
My poll is a comic from Boombox Studios.
Oh, cool.
And it is called Slam. It is written by Pamela Ribon, and the art is by Veronica Fish. And it is about a roller derby league, about a bunch of girls who start in participating in a roller derby league, and, you know, how violent that is and how aggressive that is, but how sort of fulfilling it is and exhausting it is. Only one issue is out so far, and it's really examining what it's like to get involved and all this stuff, but it focuses on a couple of main characters. But it's got a very, like, pop art sensibility. I kind of compare it to, like, Scott Pilgrim in terms of it's not nearly as sort of abstract as that was, where people would literally fight like video games and turn into coins. It's not quite to that level. But in terms of the way that comic had, like, text appearing on the screen and sort of fourth wall breaking, this one doesn't do quite that level, but, you know, like, where people in Scott Pilgrim would just turn to the camera and be like, this is how you make this kind of food, and just, like, give a little lesson on vegan cooking, because that comic was bonkers. But but this comic does talk a lot about, like, what it is like when you first get involved and what you kind of have to sacrifice and what you reprioritize in your life. And it's really fun getting to know these characters. Again, I don't want to get into too many specifics. Only one issue is out. But it is more sort of abstract, just getting to know the world and setup and stuff. But it's really engaging because there's this really fun hook of, like, how it is presented, and the colors are incredibly well done. And Veronica Fish's art is really dynamic, and the character designs are terrific. And, like, she does a really good job with showing these, like, really fun women and, like, not always having the best days, because, like, it's a very exhausting, strenuous hobby.
Yeah.
And they also get, like, real beat up in this comic.
Oh, wow.
And, like, very familiar with pain and abuse, because roller derby is essentially just rolling around on roller skates, beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Just slamming into each other.
Beating the crap out of each other wasn't bad enough, just like regular. Now do it at faster speeds where you can fall and
Yeah.
stuff.
I definitely used to think that there was, like it was like rollerball. Like, oh, there's, like, an objective. And it doesn't seem that that is the case.
So
it's
they just roll around and hit each other?
I think that's what roller derby is. It's just, like, just rolling around and racing. It's like NASCAR with people, but more car crashes.
Right, but instead of trying to avoid the other car or the person, it is to directly impact and literally hit the other person.
It's a contact sport. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's a really cool series. It's not something that I'm that familiar with, but this is definitely written by people who are very familiar. And, like, this is definitely, like, a sort of love letter, for better or worse, you know, for what they like and what is hard about the hobby. Like, you know, these friends who maybe aren't going to be on the same team, you know, who've bonded over being on this league together, but aren't necessarily going to be. They might be competing against each other as the sort of series plays out, and this is going to be a tough time. That's kind of an end of the issue spoiler, but I kind of want you to keep reading it and, like, get in on the fun, because it's just, like, a fun, kinetic, really well done series. So I am enjoying it. Only one issue out so far, but I'm looking forward to the next, guys. It's called Slam from Boom Studios, from Boombox.
Awesome. Wow. Well, that sounds like fun. All right. Well, guys, those were our polls, and now we'll be taking you to our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Superman's Christmas Adventure. This is the oldest comic we've talked about on the show.
Really?
Yeah, 100% the oldest comic. This is a comic from 1940. It's even older than the Wonder Woman comic that we talked about last Christmas.
You mean the one that was around a sentient tree?
Yeah, where she talks to a tree. It's older than that.
Amazing.
Yeah. This is Superman's Christmas Adventure from 1940, written by Jerry Siegel, one of the co-creators of Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And the art is by Jack Burnley. And we begin, I mean, there's a little opening, like, you know, half a page blurb where it's like, hey, here's the kind of like the hook of the comic, but I'm not gonna tell you guys what that is. Although it involves Superman flying, and there's some animals in the sky as well.
Animals.
All right.
Did you say in the sky or in disguise?
In the sky. All right. It's him flying next to Santa, and it's like Yuletide, a period of gaiety and goodwill among men. It seems hardly possible that anyone could be so mean as to sabotage such a beloved event. But they're going to get into some spoilers that I kind of don't want to give away.
Hey, let's not.
So I'm just going to cut to the Daily Planet.
Mike, is it Dark Side again?
Oh, you got me.
Damn it, dark side!
3 decades before Jack Kirby created him, he's here.
Right.
We're in the Daily Planet, Lois Lane and Clark Kent and Perry White. And Perry White is like, here, why don't you two cover some local department stores and write some features? And Lois is like, great, cool, I'll do some Christmas shopping while we're out. And they go and they do some Christmas shopping and they see this toy train. And Clark is very taken with it because he's just a great big old kid.
Well, we also know that he loves tiny things and bottles, like a City of Candor.
That's a very good point. But Lois sees this little boy looking at the toys, and she's like, oh, I bet you're really looking forward to Christmas and all the toys. And he says, my mom and dad are poor. The closest I'll ever get to toys is when I look at them through store windows. And Clark says, you say your name is Billy Connolly and you live on Drake Street. I'll see that Santa doesn't forget you. And, Lois is like, I can't forget about that boy. There must be thousands of poor kids like him who look forward to Christmas with only a dull ache of despair. And Clark says, I have an idea for how we can help. And he goes to Perry White and he says, we have an inspiration. We would like the Daily Planet to start a campaign. Readers will be asked to donate old toys and we'll repair them and we'll distribute them to poor toys on Christmas. Or to poor kids on Christmas. Distribute the toys to poor kids. And Perry White says, oh, that sounds great. Like, we'll absolutely do it. And cut to the North Pole a few days later. Santa reads about the toy campaign.
Which is, conflicting, because, shouldn't these kids be getting toys from Santa as well?
Don't even start to pull threads.
Don't even try to...
This whole thing falls apart real fast.
I was going to say, if this kid's yeah, I never get any toys, and it's but if Santa's existing in this comic, what has he been doing?
Oh, don't worry. It doesn't work at all.
Fair enough.
But Santa says, so I have a couple of new helpers in Clark Kent and Lois Lane.
Also,
That's
Santa
fine.
subscribes to the Daily Planet?
Sure.
Okay.
Anyway... Sometime later, Clark pauses outside a scrumptious apartment building and his X-ray vision pierces the stone walls, and he sees a boy who is not happy with the toy he got.
Oh.
He throws it down on the ground and smashes it.
Hey, not cool.
He says, what I want is a motorboat or maybe a yacht. He doesn't want a toy.
Oh, he wants
one of those things. And the butler says, but Master James, this gift is from your father. And the kid just apparently does not care. So that
the kid is visited by 3 ghosts.
No. The kid is visited by Superman. That night, Superman goes into his house.
That's kind of scarier.
He sneaks in and says, wake up, James. You're coming with me. Who? What? Don't be frightened.
I'm kidnapping you, James.
I'm not going to hurt you. Where are you taking me?
Also, why was the first thing you said?
As he flies out, they go to a tenement building, and, the Man of Steel levitates up to the window and says, look in. What do you see? A little girl playing with a broken doll. But that doll was broken. Why then was she having...
It would have been amazing if you lifted him up to the window. What do you see? Help! Help me! No. I was trying to teach you a lesson. Help me! Oh my God, I've been kidnapped!
But why was she having fun? Having such a good time? And Superman's like, because that's what she has. And she's grateful for it. Here, check out this tenement window. It's a boy my own age, and he's crying in his bed alone. Yeah, because he doesn't have any toys. Not all kids... get toys, and he takes him home and he tucks him in bed. Thank you so much. And I have so much I never realized. I hope that you realize how fortunate you are and how very unfortunate many other children of your age are. I feel like this is a really useful comic to for young kids in the 1940 to really be teaching them hey, there's a poverty situation and not all people have the same experience.
Yeah.
Around the holidays, not everyone has the same things, and you should appreciate what you have.
And maybe, hey, don't treat your butler like that or smash toys on the ground.
Yeah. Meanwhile, far away at the North Pole, a sky ship slants downwards toward Santa Claus's big toy factory.
But what?
A sky ship descends, and inside are 2 characters who say they're going to put an end to this Christmas foolishness. On board are Dr. Grouch and his crony, Mr. Meanie. I'm not even a little bit joking.
Dr. Grouch and Mr. Meanie.
Yes, they've never enjoyed Christmas when they were children.
How could they?
Why
with
should
names like that?
Why should the kids of today?
I feel like because of the kids who belittled them as a child. Because what's my name again? Oh, our last name is Meanie?
Yeah. Why should the kids of today have such a good time? We'll talk Santa Claus out of this silly business making and giving away toys.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get easily talked out of this.
And so Mr. Grouch comes in and very cordially says, I've always been interested in toys. Would you show me around, me and my friend? A pleasure, gentlemen. If you will step this way, I'll ask no follow-up questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a second. I mean, there's one thing to be hospitable, and it's another thing to just be yeah, sure. Whoever you are, people who just showed up at, my, random home in the North Pole with a spaceship.
Yeah.
Come walk around my factory.
So he shows them around where the elves make the toys, Superman toys, and shirts and puzzles and crypto ray guns and belts and balloons. Apparently, Superman novelties are very popular this year.
Oh, wow.
And, they say, well, here's the point we'd like to make. And Mr. Meany says, we believe your factories can have a better purpose than making toys for children. And, Dr. Grouch says all this labor and equipment going into a lot of foolishness. You can make commercial products and we can sell them. What a business we'd have.
Because there's no overhead, because apparently all of these toys are made by magic.
We demand that you conform to our way of thinking or suffer the consequences. And the elves run them out of the room by shooting them with pop guns and zapping them with taser sticks, just electro sticks.
They have taser sticks?
They have electric rods, charged electric rods.
Now, these elves, they don't have a lot of visitors. At least I don't think they do. And they just happen to have a bunch of taser sticks on hand.
I don't know.
In case of visitors, bust out taser sticks.
Maybe that's a thing that people used to have as a toy and when they were children in 1940.
They all had tasers?
They had maybe electric rods.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
How could I know this, Jay?
Yeah.
I'm 28.
Well, you're timeless.
As are electric rods.
Apparently.
And Superman. All these things. Anyway, Crouch and Meany flee into the strange sky vessel and hastily take off.
Obviously, they didn't expect that kind of a resistance.
Good riddance. How can human beings be like that? Says Santa, the guy who watches everyone.
Yeah.
I guess only children? I guess? Because he
what?
didn't know that these guys were jerks? Anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Also, why use the phrase human beings? Is Santa not a human being?
Well, I mean, you could still say that about humans.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I could still say that. How can
That's
human
true.
beings be like this? But also, I've met human beings, and I super get how they could be like
Yeah,
that.
and Santa, knows everything you're doing.
He sees you when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake. That's the premise of Santa Claus.
Yeah, so he should know these things.
Anyway, they have decided, Grouch and Meany have decided to strike a blow at the Daily Planet's distribution of toys department thing.
Not cool.
Well, that's how they're going to...
That's how they're going to get back at Santa Claus?
Well, they're going to teach him to accept the ideas, and the first blow will be struck there. That will show Santa we're determined.
To use your place as a factory.
Yep. So they put on masks, like just, like train robbery, Western, like bandana around their face masks, and they shoot Clark Kent with a gas gun, and he pretends to be unconscious because he would not actually go unconscious from that. But it's a thought balloon, but it doesn't have, it's still very early in comics. Mm-hmm. So it's a dialogue balloon that's coming out of his mouth, but it's in the sort of bubbly shape. Mm-hmm. And the word is in parentheses. It just says in parentheses, I'll pretend unconsciousness. No punctuation. It's just, I was like, all right, I get what they're saying, but this is still
pretend unconsciousness.
Very early in comics. One of them grabs Lois for just a moment, and she manages to pull off his mask for a moment, and then they gas her, and they start a fire in the... Yeah, exactly. And Superman just stands up and puts out the fire with his breath. And, before Lois wakes up, he drops down. He's like, oh, what's going on? Oh, my head. Oh, they tried to sabotage the toy drive, but it's okay. The fire went out. And, well, she says that. He doesn't say that. That might be a little obvious. I'm just kidding. No one will ever know. But, we'll fight on and with even greater vigor. And she's like, I recognized one of the masked intruders. Dr. Grouch. From where? How do you know this person? If you
Famed Dr. Grouch.
And if you know who this person is, how does Santa not know?
Yeah.
I feel like you're an investigative journalist, and a lot of the stuff you know, he could read in that paper that's worldwide.
Oh, yeah, apparently.
But anyway, as she's leaving, she thinks the other masked man must have been Mr. Meany.
No, hold on a second.
Nope, I have no explanation.
No, we don't have time for this?
No. We have time. I have no answers. I know what your question is.
I have so many. I mean, jeez.
So she knows who Dr. Grouch is.
And she also knows that he is, of course, always directly related to and with probably Mr. Meany.
I'd like to think that they are...
Are they a duo?
I'd like to think that they are...
in whatever doctor...
partners in crime, as it were.
But here's the thing, is Dr. Grouch like a doctor in the community and Mr. Meany is like his right-hand man?
I can't possibly know.
Oh, man, I want to know.
I'm so disappointed that I don't know. Anyway, Grouch and Meany go to watch the TV and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to watch the ruins of the Daily Planet's toy drive. And they open it up, and they turn it on. I know how TVs work. And the tiny man inside is Clark Kent, and he's still making toys. because they're still broadcasting like, look at this successful toy drive.
Yeah.
Wait, that's in color. TV wouldn't be in color. I call bull hockey on this whole comic.
This comic is Balderdash.
This is where I draw my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. No, not with all that Santa Claus
Let's
stuff.
cut back to Santa. Anyway, Dr. Grouch is not yet deterred. So he says, here's what we'll do. We'll wreck the toy shop of Santa Claus and thus punctuate the happiness of children forever. I really think he means puncture.
Yeah, I think
and
he does
not
mean
punctuate.
that too. 'Cause punctuate sounds like he means to have happiness for children forever.
Yeah, it does. Or highlight it in some
Yeah.
way. Anyway, they run out to their skyship, and as they're running, Mr. Meany says, I'll smash every music box. I'll wring the neck of every doll.
Wow. Does he not know that dolls are not alive?
Oh, maybe he means like dolls like women. That'd be kind of dark, wouldn't
That'd be
it?
real dark for this
Just
comic.
now occurred to me. That's...
Yeah.
Anyway, they go to their spaceship, as they call it, and Lois follows them from wherever. And
These two are interesting because they are just like two guys.
in Metropolis.
It's not like one dude is huge and buff and one guy has mind powers. It's
no,
just like
they are two men in their, I will say, late 50s, early 60s, maybe.
they're just running around in a spaceship, just trying to wreck shit.
Yeah, so they fly to the North Pole, they gas an elf, and they run into the, they run into the shop, to the factory, which is apparently empty other than that one elf. And
He was security.
they just start smashing toys with their fists. But just behind them, Meanie hears some footsteps. Whoa, it's that snooping girl reporter. I've got her. And they have Lois Lane. So they take her
These two older gentlemen are going to be a real challenge for the Man of Steel.
and they tie her to a rocket.
But
And by that, I mean, like, think of the firework that Buzz Lightyear is duct taped to.
Yep.
It's like that in scale to her. It's like a giant firework.
Now, was this a toy that Santa was going to deliver to some kid, or they just had a rocket?
Oh, entirely unexplained. They just tie her to a giant skyrocket.
I have
And-
to assume it was a toy.
And Mr. Meany, for whom?
I don't know who it was for, Mike. I have no idea.
Mr. Meany says, what better way is there to dispose of you than by shooting you into the heavens? Gee, I don't know, Mr. Meany, but you're in the Arctic. That shows a remarkable lack of imagination.
Oh, yeah.
What better way to get rid of a body than sending it high in the sky?
With an explosive.
Oh, it's not going to explode. It's just going to go high and then fall.
Oh, boy.
It's just going to fall.
This is... What's really crazy about this, if it wasn't for the fact that they kidnapped Lois, I'd almost imagine, like, the two of them come into the factory and they're just smashing toys.
Yeah.
And you just cut to, like, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus being like, what, are you going to stop him, dear? It's like, I just think these two gentlemen need to work something out. They'll be tiring themselves out in a few minutes.
Anyway, the two fellas grab themselves some fire axes and start taking them to the toys.
Whoa!
And Meanie is shouting, tears, tears, the world will be flooded by the tears of little children.
Jesus!
Mr. Meanie's just the straight creepiest. But Santa receives a photoelectric signal, aka an alarm, but that didn't really exist yet. A silent alarm, essentially. And he says, intruders in the workshop, we'll surprise them with a counterattack that will go down in history. Except, probably not, because who are you going to tell?
Yeah.
I'm betting no one. Anyway, he winds up a
I'm
whole
interested
bunch
to hear
of...
about the wars that Santa Claus has fought in.
He winds up a whole bunch of toy soldiers, and all these toy soldiers march out and just start shooting with pop guns, I guess. And Mr. Meanie shouts, "What? This is impossible!" Which, why? Why is this impossible, Mr. Meanie?
Yeah.
Because you gassed an elf tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Santa's workshop.
Is it just impossible that you got thwarted? Because I promise it's not. That happened already once.
Oh, yeah.
So they run off back to the spaceship, routed by toys. This is humiliating. Yeah, it's a good point, Dr. Grouch. But Dr. Grouch has a brilliant plan. Take off as they expect, but then when they let their guard down, they'll just land again and commit some other plan, which is going to happen off screen, which, why would they assume that? No, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Clark notices Lois has been gone for a very long time, and while searching for Lois, he telescopically sees her rocketing through the sky, shouting for help, as she is wont to do, I guess.
Why didn't Superman stop these two guys before when they were destroying toys and stuff?
Oh, he was pretending to be unconscious.
Oh, good. But, after that, why didn't he stop them?
Because he had to keep up the ruse as being Clark Kent and keep making toys to fight the real danger of apathy, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, he goes and he saves Lois because obviously he does. And he puts her down on a roof because obviously he does.
Yep.
And she says, I haven't thanked you. And he says, save your thanks because he's a nice old guy. And he flies off and we
Leaves her on a roof?
Yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
I bet. Anyway, Grouch and Meanie are in their spaceship. And, they see through this just comically large telescope through their window that the girl reporter is at it again, just being out in the city and not being super dead. And so they send Dr. Grouch goes out and just captures her.
Again?
Yes. So they roll out of a rope ladder and he just climbs onto the roof and just takes her.
This is just so crazy. Just two guys. Just two older guys.
Yeah.
Nothing, no special powers or any, just two dudes just running amok in a spaceship.
Yep. So Mr. Meanie goes to the truck. He knows what's in the truck. We don't know what's in the truck, but he knows what's in the truck.
What's in the truck, Mike?
I will get to that, sir. I will get to that. Oh, wait. I'll get to that in the next line. I forgot they actually say it in the same sentence. I'm sorry. Where Mr. Meanie says, whoever thought I would have the satisfaction of kidnapping Santa's reindeer.
What?
Sorry, I forgot that was revealed here. I thought it was revealed when they actually got to the truck. But never mind. No, the elves run in. They say, hey, Santa, they kidnapped your reindeer. And Santa's like, all right, so what do we do? I don't know what I'm going to do in order to keep the deliveries on time. And the elves say, ask Superman for help. He helps people. And he says, yeah, great idea. So he grabs a radio and sends out a signal. Calling Superman, Santa Claus needing your help desperately.
I mean, nice.
Yeah.
Also, that's just some sad priorities right there, man. Go get your reindeer back first, then deliver the toys.
Well, that's a good point.
I feel like that's like these are your reindeers.
Anyway, the radio transmission is sent all over, at least Metropolis. They seem very close.
Yeah, apparently.
The North Pole and Metropolis.
I mean, close enough that like those guys are just jumping back and forth pretty easily.
Constantly.
How did Lois get there?
Follow them onto the skyship.
Oh, so she did get on the skyship.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. So Clark is driving. Why is he driving?
Driving to the North Pole, Mike?
No. Just driving in Metropolis. Why is he driving?
Yeah, why is he?
Because he needs to hear a radio broadcast. Also, maybe in 1940, traffic
Why did he
wasn't...
bring Lois back to Metropolis?
He did.
Wait, so the rocket fired off from Santa's workshop.
He caught her, took her back to Metropolis.
Oh, okay, he did take her back.
And then that was the roof that those guys flew over to next.
Jeez.
I guess. Let's not pull threads on this whole comic.
Yeah, let's not.
Clark's like, this sounds like this might be a hoax, but I better take no chances. I'll go to the North Pole. So he flies to the North Pole at super speed, and minutes later arrives at Santa's workshop. Look up in the sky, it's Superman. That's the thing that the elves and Santa say collaboratively. And he says, no time for formalities. What's the trouble, Santa? Which is just the best.
Yeah.
And I just want to read you Santa's next line. A couple of joy killers, Grouch and Meanie, tried to persuade me to stop making toys. When I refused, they kidnapped my reindeer. And it's Christmas Eve. Which is just like, you're in it. Your reindeer stolen? I'm glad you called me. I'll get them back. I assure you. I'll be back in a flash. And so he flies off. He finds the truck with Mr. Meanie driving it, and he picks up the truck, which is still like a super big deal that he can do that in 1940.
Hey, yeah.
Because we're not used to there being a Superman.
Who can move planets and stuff.
Yeah. So he takes the truck with him to the North Pole and opens up the trunk, and it's the reindeer. And he's like, all right, cool. We've got it all taken care of. And he's like, yeah, hooray. And then Mr. Meanie just gasses the reindeer.
What?
Just to, carve the nose to spite the face. Like, look, you still can't deliver the toys.
Because now the reindeer are out.
Here's what he shouts. Gloom will pervade the universe after all.
Whoa, what?
Maybe this is Darkseid.
Maybe this is the beginning of him.
But
Gloom will pervade the universe.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Superman says, no time for the delay. Quick, Santa, pile your gifts into the sleigh and climb in. And he throws Mr. Meanie in there too, just for good measure.
Sure.
And so they fly around the, I guess, world. It's not clear.
Sure.
But one assumes world. And then they're dropping off presents, and Santa says, if only the world would know the valuable service you've done. He says, I'm not interested in public acclaim. Just glad to be of service. Yeah, that's why he wears a giant S on his chest.
Also
and a cape.
does interviews for Daily Planet. He's not Batman.
So they fly over Grouch's house, and they just drop Mr. Meanie down the chimney for him.
Nice.
Not taking him to the authorities.
That's what I was going to follow that up with.
Nope.
Why has nobody taken them to the authorities?
Just putting him back with his accomplice. And, Mr. Meanie is
Did he have anything to say to him like, hey, you know what? Sometimes you should be nice to people.
No, what he says is, don't say we didn't give you anything, meanie. We are your life. Now go join your friend. Which is to say...
Which is a veiled threat,
yes,
kind of.
Yes, it is.
Basically saying, like, yeah, I could have totally killed you.
Yes, that is exactly what he says.
It's crazy.
Yes, and he just sits there on the hearth. Superman did this. He foiled our plan. And Grouch says, that girl reporter is still captive. Totally forgot about Lois.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She's locked up in the next room. We can still have our revenge. Superman was right above us.
Yeah, right there. What happened to that super hearing?
Wait, I hear footsteps outside. Hide and take your gas gun, Grouch. Oh, they turn and they go through the room, and Santa and Superman are in their room dropping off presents for Grouch and Meanie. Wow, this is just such an awkward silence.
What?
Superman says, you're still going to leave them gifts despite all the harm they've done to you? And Santa says, yes, it's the Christmas spirit to forgive your foes. I'm sure there is some good in both Grouch and Meanie. And Grouch and Meanie walk towards him and say, we heard what you said, Santa. After all we did to you, you're still leaving us Christmas presents? I never thought people could be like that. They're the first presents we ever got. Way to slack off on the job,
wow,
Santa Claus.
Yeah, jeez. Well, clearly there's tons of kids that don't get gifts.
Yep. If you'll shake my hand, I'll be the happiest man in the world. We promise to be kind from now on. You've taught us plenty. Put her there. Merry Christmas, boys. And so they open up a closet and release Lois. Meanie and I want to apologize to you too, miss. No apologies are necessary. If you've got the true Christmas spirit, I'm satisfied.
What?
Lois...
What were they going to do to Lois to get back at everyone?
Lois joins in distributing the toys. The task's complete. Santa is returned to the North Pole. Merry Christmas, Santa. Come again anytime. And then after returning to the planet building, Superman stops in at James Daniels' residence. That's the little brat from earlier.
Yep.
Why, James, where are you going? And we see that this boy and this butler are both carrying a bunch of presents. I'm going to have a swell time distributing toys. Know what I've learned? It's more fun to give than receive. And Superman basically turns to the camera and says, I hope all you readers will remember to be generous to those less fortunate than yourselves. And now, Merry Christmas to you, and a Happy New Year.
Wow. That got real crazy there at the end, Mike. I'm not going to lie. I mean, look, I love the message of forgiving your foes.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, these guys did some real messed up stuff. And, like, the end result was like, hey, sometimes it's okay to try to burn down a building and kidnap a person and knock out their reindeer and vandalize a home. Sometimes if you do these things, Santa Claus will give you presents at the end of it.
Yeah, there was a real about face from Gloom will just pervade the
universe. Like, these guys were trying to, like, soul destroy every child in the world.
Yeah.
And then we're like, you know what? Someone got me a toaster. Everything's okay.
And by the way, you know what doesn't work? Highlighting how some kids are less fortunate than others and don't get Christmas presents, and also having Santa exist.
Yeah.
Those two don't really go together.
They don't work in a comic. That makes Santa look like a really bad Santa.
These guys literally said they've never gotten Christmas gifts.
They've never gotten any Christmas gifts. Santa, what are you doing, buddy?
You had one job, one thing we gave you to do.
Literally one day a year, the only thing.
Like I get, it's a lot. You don't have to hit everyone every year. Just like spread it out. Hit someone once.
Jeez.
Anyway, that's it.
That's a crazy comic. And look, I like the idea.
Yes.
But holy crap.
There were some execution problems.
Holy boy. All right, guys. Well, that was our main segment.
Yeah.
And that'll be taking us to our game, Super-Mundane. All right, this is Super-Mundane. This is the game where we name a mundane task or activity, and Mike and I have to decide who would be the best and who would be the worst at doing said activity. And this is people from Marvel or DC only.
Because there's just a lot of...
There's just so many
That's
other
plenty.
characters and comics outside of that, yeah. But Mike, for this episode, you're going to be providing the Super-Mundane.
That's right.
What is that?
I thought it was appropriate given that Santa Claus sees you when you're sleeping and knows when you're awake and keeps track of people and spies on all of us and
Right, of course.
monitors the world. Who would be the best and who would be the worst? Hall monitor.
Hall monitor. Well, somebody clearly with, like, just, like, almost omnipotent vision everywhere
Uh-huh.
who can, like, know when people are coming and going. and also know the economies of bathrooms. No. They're just someone who's really just, they're monitoring the halls, right?
Yeah.
I mean, someone who's personable, so they're not going to be like a jerk.
But they can't be a pushover either.
True. I was going to say like multiple man. He could cover every possible hallway there is.
That's true, he could.
But is there somebody better?
But what if you get like a pink slip from multiple man, and then you go around a corner and there's another one's like, hey, what are you doing down the hall? I just went through this with another one of you, man.
Yeah, that's true. Also, you might get a weird multiple man.
Yeah,
he's like really mad that day, or really nihilistic.
Yeah, like a fatalistic hall monitor. Oh, what's the point, man? Just go ahead.
What class did you come from? It doesn't even matter, dude.
I don't even care.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, if not multiple man, then who else? I guess Flash would be really good.
Flash would be really good.
I mean, he's very personable, and he can cover a lot of ground. There's a really great comic, I think it's Kingdom Come, where it talks about, like, and this is, like, years later when the Justice League are older, Batman's older, he's, like, running Gotham City with, like, robot Batman.
Sure.
And things like that, and there's a part of it where they go to the Flash, and the Flash is just running around his city at, like, maximum speed at all times.
Yeah.
Like, keeping it perfectly safe,
Oh,
always.
that's actually really cool,
At, like,
actually.
every moment. He's, like, he's making sure, like, nothing bad is happening. Because obviously he's probably lived a life of watching many close friends die. But I think...
Oh, way to make it way sadder.
Sorry.
That's fine. You didn't write the comic.
I didn't. But basically, yeah, I mean, I think Flash, for that very reason, like, would be perfect.
And you're right, like, getting caught by the Flash is not, like, the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, like, of all of the heroes, he has, like, I don't want to say nicer, but, like, the best relationship with his rogues. So even, like,
Yeah, he
even
does.
his villains, like, don't really hate him.
Got me again, Flash.
Yeah, like, it's always just, like, they almost kind of like it. Like, they almost like having that rivalry with the Flash because he's such a good dude.
They are a little codependent on him, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, you know what I mean? It's not like, I will kill you and all your family, like, always, like some of the villains of certain heroes.
Yeah.
So I think the Flash would actually be great as a hall monitor. And I mean, he's got the speed, and he's got the personality.
So who's the worst?
Who would you put in charge of, like, monitoring a certain area, and they would just do a terrible job?
Oh, Azrael.
Wait, are you talking about Azrael, like Batman's, the guy he trained for a little
The
while?
guy he literally hired, recruited
to replace him.
So
to
for those who don't
monitor Gotham.
Yep. So those who don't know, back when Batman got his back broken by our good friend Bane.
Yeah, a friend of the show.
Yeah. He had to leave and go on a little sabbatical and fix his spine, which was broken. That's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And so he got a fellow who had like no affiliation with the Bat family.
No, not at all.
At all. To be the new Batman. And his name was Azrael, which is also the name of, I believe, the angel of death in the Bible.
I think so. So you're going to protect this city. What's going to be your code name? Azrael, the angel of death. Yeah, you're going to do great.
Good sign.
So it didn't end well.
Right. He turned out to be just like super totalitarian and like very over the line. Like he did the job, definitely, but he was definitely way, way harsher as a Batman. And like I think he went after Bane as like an act of vengeance for Batman, if I remember right.
He would take being a hall monitor way too seriously.
Yeah, he would be real hardcore on the like there is no possible way that you are ever making it out of that hall monitor.
I swear I got a hall pass. Swear to me.
But that's the nice guy version. That's the scary part.
Yeah, he can get way worse.
Yeah, that's like, what if that guy was completely unmeasured?
Ooh, yeah. That's a great pick, just because he was somebody picked to monitor a specific
Yeah,
area,
exactly.
And he went, way too far with his job. Oh, man. I like that a lot. Azrael as the worst hall monitor, and the Flash as the best. Have we had the Flash as the best at something before?
I don't know, but we definitely haven't thought about Azrael in at least 4 years.
No, I definitely have not. But that is a great pick. Wow. All right, guys. Well, those are our picks. Flash and Azrael. And that was episode 69.
That's the fastest we've ever
gotten
done
to
a
it.
Super-Mundane.
Usually it takes way longer. We finally got there pretty quick. Wow. Well, guys, that was episode 69 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at Partial Arc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening, and remember,
That new Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer looks super fun.
it does look super fun.
I'm just like, I'm on board. I love that they're just calling him Baby Groot.
Yeah.
Because, like, we call him Baby Groot, and, like, they're just like, yeah, we know.
yeah,
we'll
that's
call
his
him that, too. That's what he is. That's
because comics.